One. Hello, and welcome to another community update, another Novusphere community update. Today we don't have Asphyxia. He's off, I think, on vacation or doing something. He won't be joining us, so that would cut the meeting in half because usually he does most of the talking. But we still have a lot of things to cover for you today, mainly because it was my fault. Last week we had a bit of technical difficulty and we I didn't record a video. But we are going to recap on you what happened last week. But today we're going to have Fix to start us off because we actually have some update regarding the foundation. So, Fix.
Yeah, so good news. As we were kind of contemplating how we were going to deal with the fact that we couldn't get our documents over because they had appeared to be lost in transit, we were notified that they did in fact receive the certified true copies of my identification paperwork, and so that's good news. They can start the process of establishing the bank account and getting the foundation, formally or legally established. So progress on that front, and it's nice to know that we can actually send them documents. It just takes an extraordinarily long time for them to get through to them. So that should, give us a better idea about how long, if in the future we have to send them anything physical, that we'll know that it's going to be quite a while. But so anyhow, good news. We'll this week will be probably just nailing down, what else they need from us in terms of, getting things going. We will have to send them some money at some point. So the details of that will be, kind of have to be worked out. So hopefully we can do that in a manner that's like Western Union or something that is not relying on any sort of courier system.
Okay.
So
They don't take crypto?
So last yes, so last week we discussed about new decks. We noticed that there was a large gap between the buy and the sell orders, and our intention was to increase the visibility of like Atmos and like Novusphere, and hopefully we can bring on more investors. But we felt that like having a large gap, it will be very difficult for some of the new investors or people who are interested in buying Atmos to make that purchase of like maybe a 50% premium over the buy orders or sell orders. We allocated about 100 EOS to it and 100,000 Atmos. It's not a significant amount, but it is enough to bring more liquidity to the market so that people who want to onboard Atmos would be able to make a purchase without paying a huge premium. So this is still like a work in progress, and we're still testing things out. We're probably not going to once the budget runs out, we will stop the market making, and hopefully our goal of getting new investors and people who are interested in the project to buy Atmos would work out well.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, just to kind of summarize, we were just trying to close the spread between the buy and sell because there was a pretty big gap. Like Brian said, if someone's jumping in the first time, they want to make some small purchase. That huge spread might, be a psychological barrier, as Asphyxia put it. So we're slowly continuing to close that gap, and adding some liquidity to the market. So if you see any fluctuations happening, don't worry. So yeah. Also in terms of last week. Yes.
Just to clarify on that, any of like the sell orders or buy orders that we complete, we'll just place another, like say we make a buy order or like we execute a buy order, we'll just create another sell order at like a 10% premium. That way, none of the funds are actually like done to be profitable. It's just to keep the market more liquid.
Right. Again, the goal is not to turn a profit into this. The goal is just to add liquidity to the market for new investors. Okay, is that everything from last week?
Yeah, that was it for last week.
Okay.
Well, Asphyxia was talking about the sidechain and the progress of the sidechain and other things that he's been working on.
I guess I could kind of touch a bit on that. The side chain or side state what do you want to call it? Uh,
Side state, yeah.
the the hard work, the most of the work behind it has been completed. We're just waiting for the UI elements to be implemented. We decided to hold off on launching it simply because if we don't have a UI element for users to interact with it, is kind of meaningless, even though technically we have it available. So we're just waiting for the UI to be finished on that, and once that's launched, users will be able to utilize the side state to make transactions in our case on the forum, which is just do the form of tipping, and they're going to be able to redeem a EOS account for with the Atmos utilizing the side state, and that kind of plays into nicely of what we're trying to do with the Atmos token, and with the how we plan to add value to the Atmos ecosystem as a whole. We have a lot of partners recently. Anax, I'm sure I'm butchering it again, even though he told me how to pronounce it. He recently we recently made a formal partnership. He has allocated 5,000 ANX tokens for us to tip out to content posters on our forum, and this is just this is no string attached. Just tip. He just said I like the work you guys are doing. I like how you guys are growing the community. Here's 5,000 ANX tokens. You guys decide how you want to allocate that. So that was fantastic. We also have an AMA with him coming up about his project, which is, as far as I know, the first security token on EOS, which is, is definitely interesting. And I highly recommend you guys tune in to ask some questions. It lasts over a course of 3 days. So, you drop him a question, he'll answer to you. We'll also be tipping out 500 ANX tokens during that duration. We have a lot of partners coming up. Some are more certain than others. EOS Cafe, we have a definite partnership. However, we are still working out details. There are a few more partners that we're just kind of feeling the water, so to speak. But I think there's gonna be great stuff coming out. So, yeah. Okay, did I miss anything, team?
Nope, I think that's all.
That's it. Yep.
Yeah, I guess this was a short meeting.
Well, without our star, it's
Yeah.
Don't have a lot of development to talk about.
Yeah.
So I think it's I think we're kind of on the cusp though in terms of getting some kind of meaningfully interesting bits of the development process out the door and usable. I think the other thing that as the projects become more complex, we've definitely started formalizing our release process a bit more so that we don't release things that are full of bugs and are create more problems than they solve. So that's something that I think people should be aware of, that we're getting more more of a formalized process around that, and I think that's going to make it much easier to control when we put stuff out into the wild, that there's not problems with it. That is an issue that bigger projects have to deal with, and as we get bigger and as we have more eyeballs looking at what we're doing, we have to be careful about it. So it's something that we've been doing, and we're starting to put a process in place internally. So I think that people should be aware that that's happening, and hopefully we'll have in the kind of near future, we'll be able to tell people about it as that gets solidified.
Yeah, so without divulging too much detail, so we have double the number of users from January and February, and we are on track to double our users again in March compared to February. So again, just 2 data points. Can't make 100% assertion, but it does seem like we're on the exponential path at least. So, and I think with the new side state, once we nail the onboarding process down, we can have a huge advantage over other social media blockchain projects, if you would call us that, simply because they just can't handle that the influx of users. Is they can't just keep burning to their reserve to create free account for people, whereas we have kind of like a selection process where we onboard people that we basically know are gonna be active users. So that's gonna be very exciting, and that's gonna also create demand for the Atmos token, which is the thing you use to create accounts. So very exciting stuff. Okay, and with that, I guess we're gonna wrap it up. So this is the March 11 community update, the Novusphere community update, and it's time to say goodbye and see you next time.
All right.
All right.
See everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Okay. Bye.